Right, yo, welcome back to the Who's Right podcast, and here we go again. 500 team. What else can you say? Where we split a series that we could have won is the definition of a 500 team or below, and there's nothing else you can talk about. But before we get going, before we do start talking about it, hit subscribe, like this video, comment, let us know how you're feeling. And Victor, how you doing?
It really stinks to be a Mets fan. I'll just put it straight up. It really stinks to be a Mets fan because right when you think that you're in it, right when they pull you back in, they just gut punch you and kick you in the curb and curb stomp you. And that's what they did this series because we thought going into it, oh, they got their player meeting, they're looking good. This is the new Mets. The Mets have turned a new leaf. And then what happens? June hits, and then immediately the Mets get into their June swoon. Man, if we could insert the clip in this live show of Johan, or sorry of Lopez saying that we're the worst team in baseball, then this is the place to put it because we're the worst sleeping team in the MLB.
I don't know about the worst, but just like you, myself, we weren't expecting a World Series team, but we were expecting a more competitive team. But at the end of the day, we won two games in the series, so it's not like we came out. Unfortunately, we had a disappointing loss today, and we had a disappointing show yesterday for the Daryl Strawberry game. But let's get right into it. Let's start previewing the series. On Thursday, we got the Christian Scott game, and he pitched good. He pitched well. 5 innings, 2 runs. Unfortunately, couldn't go deeper. But he kept us in the game, and we pulled it out. Lindor came out hot after the team meeting, and like a captain supposed to do, because he wants to be the captain. Um, he came and performed. Unfortunately, a few guys are still not performing, like Nemo, who I think is the actual captain of the team. But Lindor performed, and so hats off to him. He had that team meeting. He stood in front of the media for 11 minutes and talked to the media, and came out on Thursday and like he should. Gave us what a game that we like. So there's nothing else to it. He did his job, and he did what he's supposed to do, what he gets paid to do, and it's about time.
Yeah, and he's looking good. Both the guys that got paid for what they were supposed to do showed up in this game because not only did Francisco Lindor provide those 2 runs, but or the 1 run, um, but JD Martinez ended up driving in 2 more to give us the lead, and this is what we paid these guys for. And both of those guys showed up in this series. These are the veteran players. When we talk about being a captain, when they don't give you the title, you lead by example in this way. And Francisco Lindor was leading by example, and JD Martinez was the same way. And after the game, they talked about their meeting a little bit and all the pressure being off of them this year, and it seemed to help them initially going into this this uh, this game and this series. But I don't know if it helped them for the rest of the series. I don't know if the pitchers were present during that meeting, but we'll get to those gripes later on in the game or later on in the podcast, and and but also you saw this is the last time we'll see Brett Beatty and Christian Scott for a little bit here, and I know that you had concerns about or everyone had concerns about Beatty, and we both expressed how we didn't think that he deserved a demotion, but he got a demotion right after the game, and he certainly didn't prove his point because he didn't he didn't do anything in this game, and so we thought that he would get more time with Alonso being out, but Alonso went right back in there and did his thing, and he ended up paying for it. But Mark Vientos also looked pretty good throughout this series and in this game, and he really showed it.
Yeah, no, Mark Vientos did his thing. The difference in him and Beatty right now is not they're not hitting a ton, but the difference is that Vientos hits the home run. And that's the difference in their game, in their offensive game. Obviously, their defensive game. I could have seen a couple plays where Beatty would have been out there and done a better job, but at the end of the day, you're right. After this, before we get to the end of the game, we had Reed Garrett close the game out. Kind of the guy that we thought was supposed to be the guy to close it out because of the splitter and how he's been. I still think he's being used a lot. But he came in and closed the game out. And then, like you said, after the game, Christian Scott and Beatty get sent down for some bullpen help. I understand the Scott thing because we're getting some days off here because of the London trip, and so you don't need a starter, a 6-man rotation right now because we're gonna have a few days off. But the Beatty thing, I don't get doing it right now. And, I might have understood after the London trip. Just because if you rode with Beatty and Vientos for a week, what's 5 more days, right? Because you're going to get a few days off. So you're going to get McNeil and Lindor some days off here because of the travel to London. So I honestly don't know why Beatty got sent down because of that. But at the end of the day, Stearns did say that this wasn't a roster that he liked, and we didn't like it from the beginning. Not having a backup middle infielder. But yeah, that's the only one that I kind of disagree with a little bit at this stage. Maybe after London, but right now, what's 5 more days with the same roster?
Yeah, and they talked about David Stearns talked about his decisions in this move was because they're facing so many lefties upcoming, and they're obviously going to give Mark Vientos the leash. They're going to give him playing time, but he also said that he's going to be back, and let's just hope that he can work on his swing. He can get that ball to be lifted in the air more, like you see his counterpart Mark Vientos doing, and they're both happy about where Mark Vientos seems supportive in this position because he's been there. Obviously, it's good to see Mark Vientos being able to get this full-time role. We know that the defense obviously isn't there, but if he can prove himself as a major league bat, then this is going to be a good stint for him. If not for the Mets, for trade bait later on, right? Because if we're in a position where or even next year, if when we don't have a DH, he can sit in that spot, or even at first base if Pete Alonso's gone. But he's proven himself and getting himself warm in this major league level, and he's looking really good. But one more thing on this game was that Zach Gallen went out in the first inning, and this kind of set the tone for what should have been the rest of the series because the Diamondbacks used 6 relievers. They had to go 8 innings basically, just pure relievers, and they used 6 relievers just in that game alone. And the Mets weren't able to tack on runs here, and you were hoping that they could get to the bullpen a little more and tax them a little more. But ultimately, they were able to save their arms, and it was a great managing by them to be able to get them that far. But I honestly felt like this should have been the game where we blew them out because it was a bullpen game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you on that one. And and going back to the Beatty thing, he hits a home run today down in Syracuse, and so obviously these guys are don't need to be down in Syracuse. We do need to figure this roster out. Again, this whole chaos that Stearns created when signing JD Martinez, and yeah. JD Martinez had a great series, but we'll get into the concerns. Let's get into game 2. so we can get into our concerns and talk about it. But Severino came in and did his thing. He pitched um, five and a third. Not something that you want to see in Severino. You expect Severino to go a little deeper. It's not like the Arizona lineup is hitting at all cylinders right now, and so I think this was the theme of the series for our starters. Is that they are a little they're too many balls again. They're not going deep in the games. They're not. I know Severino didn't have it and he gutted it out, but it's going to be a theme of the series of our pitching not going deep in the games.
Yeah, something has to give here because when our starting pitching isn't right, then our bullpen shouldn't uh, have to be picking them up each and every time. This happened where this was a situation where they had to pitch 4 innings in a row and expect to be spotless. And like you said, it was a theme of the whole series where we weren't able to pick it up, um, and obviously Severino had probably one of his worser starts, but luckily they were able to the bats were able to pick him up. But you saw towards the end, the Mets can't have an easy win, and they just can't win with for more than one run by more than one run because you saw Reed Garrett here give up 4 in the 9th and give us all a heart attack. I was lucky to watch that on replay, a little bit delayed, so I could just fast forward to the end. But if I was sitting there watching that, I would be pulling my hair out. I know why a lot of Mets fans are bald now because this has probably happened more than once throughout their lifetimes, and you saw multiple times throughout this series, the fan base just going, "Oh no, what did I do to myself?" Signing myself on to be a Mets fan, and that's definitely how we felt here, even in the win.
What are you trying to say, man? What are you trying to say? you
Shots
know,
fired.
I see that. I see that. It's true. Gary said it in the broadcast today. 32 of our 50 some games are by one run, and it's something that is kind of it's stressful because there's no need for it. You know what I mean? And then you know it's a shame because I don't even think Reed Garrett should have came into the game. This is one of those things where I'm talking about him being overused. Why did he need to come in the game? He came in the game the day before. He didn't need to come in the game, and so this is one of those things that I keep saying that he's being overused. He doesn't have the stamina like he did in the beginning of the season. His arm's not like it was in the beginning of the season. So, why you keep tiring in his arm like that? And you see what he did today after a day off. You know what I mean? So why go to the well when you didn't need to? It'd be different if you needed to go to Reed Garrett, but Reed Garrett right now is one of your better relievers. And it wasn't a safe situation. So why go to him? And that's my only gripe in this game is we could have had an easy game, but I kind of felt something when Reed Garrett came into the game because of you know because of that because there was no need. We talked about it in the last video. They're overusing Reed Garrett right now, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, there were a lot of questionable decisions made by Mendoza in this series, and a lot of it has to do with the starters not being able to go more than 5 innings, more than 6 innings. And when you have a situation where you're putting Mendoza with his back against the wall, because all these spots were basically high leverage, that's what you do to him. You make him put his best relievers in when he doesn't want to, because you had SRF basically out of the mix because he's pitched. You had Adam Ottavino pitching before that, and he basically had to exhaust the bullpen and each and every one of these games. And you can't expect the bullpen to be perfect. and you can't expect the bats to pick it up either and score 10 runs each and every game. But you had the bats break out in this game, so we'll look on the positive side. The bats did break out in this series where we were able to get we weren't blanked once, and that's a good sign. We were able to get on Jordan Montgomery this time around. Granted, Jordan Montgomery hasn't looked the same since he's fired Boris because of the contract that he's gotten. But this we were luckily able to hang on the win. That's the
Well,
only spot.
and going on your point, I understand the bullpens. I mean the bullpen's being overworked because the pitching is not going deep. But Ottavino didn't come into this game or the game before. Ottavino could have come into this game and not use Reed Garrett 2 days in a row. That's where the issue is. That's where the overuse of Reed Garrett right now, when he's one of your better relievers, is the problem. Because Ottavino wasn't used. He could have been used this game, and obviously we go into game 3, and let's just go right into it. We get the Darryl Strawberry game retirement. Great moment by Darryl, apologizing to the fans and saying he never should have left, and love Darryl. Even though I wasn't a lefty, when I was growing up, I kind of wanted to emulate Darryl's swing because it was a very sweet swing. And that ceremony was awesome. I loved it. I love what Darryl's doing nowadays, being a minister and doing ministry. And so, it kind of came full circle, and the Mets did good this year by retiring his number.
Yeah, it was great vibes all around. I wasn't alive during that era, but just to be able to see the impact that they had on the organization, on the fan base, and the emotions that go into it, you see the positives that come with being a Mets fan. Because, like Darryl said, this is the greatest fan base in the whole world in all sports. And I truly believe that, and I think that Darryl, when he said that, truly believed that too. And so we're just very passionate fans, and we wanted to see our team succeed. And it was great to see the former Mets that were able to succeed there and have good vibes. But it was also disappointing to see when he's in the booth talking with the guys, Sean Manaea give up that that grand slam and just destroy the vibes in that booth, because you heard Ron. It was like, oh no, and it was just saddening to see that unfold. And our pitching just didn't show up in this game either.
Yeah, no, I mean this game especially didn't show up. Manaea, came out in the press conference afterwards and said he felt good, but he didn't look good. So I don't know how he said he felt good, because it didn't look good from beginning until he came out. He gave up a total of 6 runs, and he just didn't have it. So I don't know what he was feeling, but it wasn't good. And so I know we kind of they kind of teased us in the 9th inning a little bit. Pete had a home run in the 9th and stuff like that, but this game was over before it even started, and which is a shame, because it was the Darryl game.
Yeah, and it has to hurt at some point when you feel like you're doing so well. When you score 5 runs in a game, that should get you the win. And you feel like you're doing so much as a team, as an offense, to be able to get your team to win. And it probably plays in hand to why the momentum thing, right? When you have this momentum shift where you just had a close win, but you're able to scratch it off. But then you have the Diamondbacks, like, oh, we were able to hit these guys. We were able to get on them. And maybe next game we can actually get on them even more. And that's what they did here. And the Mets just, had to sit and watch that happen. And like you said, they try to claw back into it, but there's only so much you can do when every inning, literally from the 5th or from the 6th to the 9th, they're able to tack on, or to the 6th to the 8th, they're able to tack on runs. and feel like that deficit is getting bigger and bigger. And they try their best to fight back. And it always seems like Pete is always hitting home runs when it doesn't matter. That's just I don't know if that's a me thing, but that's just what I kind of feel. But it was great to see him get on get on the board with the homer. Let's hope that he continues to heat up because man, he's falling behind in this home run race. I think he's 8 behind the lead, so he really needs to get on a heater if he really wants to maintain that best power hitter in baseball.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you sound like a veteran Met fan saying things like that about Pete. But we'll take him when we can get him. It's always going to seem, especially when the team is bad, that they hit home runs in garbage time. But it's just one of those things that you hit them when you hit them, and you just got to hope that they're at clutch moments, most of them, or at least half of them, or whatever. But you want your team to hit those homers no matter what, no matter when it is. And then we go to game four. Game four we had Quintana come out after 4 innings. You know, gave up. He only gave up 3 runs, which is typical Quintana. But he came out after 4. He didn't have the command. Again, this is one of the reasons why we didn't want like a Blake Snell or something like that because of the heart attack kind of pitching. And it seems like that's all we've had all year is these guys not command the zone for some reason or another. And Quintana was a guy that didn't give up home runs, and now he's giving them up like crazy. It's just weird to me. But you had Quintana come out, and this is one of my issues with Mendoza this series. Our bullpen kind of guts it out a little bit. Why is Diekman your closer? I don't get it. If Ottavino was the closer, okay, whatever. Ottavino's the closer. But why is Diekman your closer? You're going up in the 9th inning with Marte, who loves to hit right-handed. He's a better right-handed switch hitter than a left-handed switch hitter. And you're gonna put him on his dominant side, and he wins the game. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense, And again, the story of the season is that we don't tack on runs. Fott didn't go deep, and we didn't tack on runs, and so that's my issue with this game. One of my issues, right? First issue is Quintana not going deep. And then my issue is if it's going to be Ottavino and Garrett, let it be Ottavino and Garrett. Why are we going to Diekman? Why are we even trusting Diekman in the night? He's not a closer type guy anymore, or ever was. So I don't understand why he was the closer today.
We already talked about how we feel about Diekman and how he's already kind of lost his step. And the only reason that he's here is because he's one of the only left-handed relievers that we have in the pen. But in this situation, we don't really even want to see this guy because he's only in the game because he's the last on the list. And this is what Mendoza talked about a little bit is that he was like he was the last guy. He was the only guy on the list, and it was we were kind of taking a gamble having him out there.
Well, no, it's the way they used the bullpen because he was the last guy because of the way he used the bullpen. Garrett came in the 6th inning. Then you had Ottavino in the 8th. It's the way you use the bullpen. It's not because he was the last guy. It's the way the last guy should have been either Ottavino or Garrett. You could have used Diekman if you were going to use him in a situation where he was going to face righties. Make him face the bottom of the lineup, not the top of the lineup where Marte is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I wonder if it was one of those situations because we were all holding our breath and waiting to see Drew Smith in one of those spots. And I wonder if it was one of those situations where you talk to the pitching coach or you talk to Drew Smith, you're like, hey, we really need you in this situation. Are you able to go out there? And he's like, I don't know if I'm able to do that just yet. I'm still kind of healing. Because Mendoza talked about it. He was like, I'm not sure I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to pitch today. If he was going to pitch, it was going to be a last resort kind of thing. If we're in extra innings and going deep into the game, but you never want to play for extra innings, so I don't know where that mentality comes from, and I don't think that's the case because you're going into the game with the lead. So that's just foolish of me or foolish for him to say, and so I don't think that's the case. But I really do. This is me putting my tinfoil hat on and saying that I think Drew Smith kind of had a part to play with Diekman being in that game because why is he activated off the active roster or off the injured list and not going to be in the game? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. I think Mendoza wanted to use him in that situation, and for some reason he didn't go to him. I don't know if that's on Drew Smith or on the pitching coach or on Mendoza, but there should have been
No,
him in that spot.
if you are correct, let's put on your tinfoil hat. If you are correct, and Drew Smith wasn't available, why activate him? You know what I mean? And if that's the case, if he wasn't available, then that's on Stearns. That's not on Mendoza. Mendoza can only do what he got. You know what I mean? And so that's on Stearns. And why can't you just wait a day if he's not available? And so that's again. But at the end of the day, Diekman could have came in the sixth. Diekman could have came in the seventh. He could have came in the eighth. Whatever. Actually, he could have came in the eighth and Ottavino in the ninth. You could have switched those two. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so, him being the last guy, that doesn't fly because he wasn't the last guy. He was the last guy because that's how you use the bullpen.
Yeah, and that's just me being the optimistic Mets fan, trying to give Mendoza the benefit of the doubt because obviously he made a mistake here with the way that he constructed the game or the way he played chess in this game. Because I think he was just trying to use his best relievers that he had, hoping that he had the best yet to come. Because we've seen Drew Smith close out games before earlier in the season. We've seen him in high stress situations, and I imagine that he wanted to use him here. But at the end of the day, SRF probably would have even been a better choice.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. What even Gary was surprised to see Garrett in the sixth. Even Gary was surprised. Okay, Garrett gave up a couple runs in the ninth a couple days beforehand, but stick with your guns. It's like what are you doing? You put in Diaz the day after he wasn't ready, and you still put him in the ninth to close out a game to blow it out, and he blew it. Just because you wanted to go back to the well. Why are you switching your way now? Stick with your guns. You know what I mean?
Mendoza has some head scratching decisions here because even in the seventh or something like that, he took out Daniel Nunez, who was having a great game. He's been pitching lights out for the past couple of games, and he goes in for the sixth, or maybe he was in for the seventh. That we'll have to go back and watch the tape. But he goes in for an inning, gets one batter out, and then Mendoza immediately pulls him out for a left-handed reliever to pitch against two righties. And
Yeah. He came in the fifth. He was in the fifth. He pitched the fifth, clean fifth, and one batter in the sixth. And then Danny Young came in for him in the sixth. And that's and then Garrett the seventh. Sorry, not the sixth.
Yeah, and so even in that situation, when you have Daniel Nunez being able to get that batter out with ease, I would expect for him to get a little more leash, for you to be able to save more arms because it's not like we have an off day now. We have to go to Washington, continue to play for the next 3 days, and until we finally get an off day on Thursday, Friday, and then we get the London series Saturday, Sunday, Monday. No, just Saturday, Sunday, and and then you get your off days. But now we have to go into the well and continue to tax these arms. But this is just. I hope rookie manager mistakes. I hope that he can continue to grow from these. It's still early in the season. He's got a lot of things to work on. It seems the fans want him gone because everything's going wrong. I don't think that happens this year unless he makes a terrible decision or unless this is a trend that we've seen him do. Then I think that Mendoza has done a fine job so far. We're not going to continue to pick on him. What's done is done. We're not going to cry over spilled milk. But man, that this game today was a killer.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And this is one of those where you want to put in the back, and be done with it. And like you said, I do hope that we Mendoza learns from this. I don't want him gone because rookie manager. They're going to make some mistakes. My whole thing is that I want Mendoza to stick to his guns. Not go series game to game. Garrett, was your closer one game, and then you trusted him again because you had him back to back, and then he pitches the seventh inning today. It's just stick to your guns and roll with it. But when you're wishy washy, that's when we're going to criticize you the most. You know what I mean? And so stick with it, and don't change on day to day because that's going to hurt you in the long run. Let's get into the batter of the game. We're going to get into Alex's comments in a second, but let's get into the batter of the series. And JD Martinez must have been listening to us because he finally woke up. What do you think?
Yeah, finally, right? This is. I think that player meeting definitely helped him take a stride in the right direction to kind of establish himself in that clubhouse as a leader, as a vet, to be able to establish leadership, and that's what he did. He led by example in this series, and even when he was up to bat in situations where it wasn't high leverage, he was able to get on base somehow. And so we love to see JD Martinez continue to hit well. We hope that he continues to get to boost up his value. So by the trade deadline, he gives us a haul. But also Francisco Lindor looked great, right? And so Francisco Lindor and JD Martinez, those veteran guys in that clubhouse, look good, and they led the way for the Mets this series.
Well, yeah, and this goes into our concerns. When is Stearns going to finally start selling some pieces off? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I think this series has proved it that we're 500 or below team. I'm yeah. You signed guys like JD Martinez to trade them at this point. Right? We're not the team that's going to compete for a playoff spot. It doesn't look like it, anyways. Not after this series. So what are we doing? Sell early.
Yeah,
Who was it? The Marlins sold early, and their young guys are producing. They're playing because they're hungry, and their young guys are producing. So why? This goes to the whole Brett Beatty conversation that he should not be in AAA. Everybody knows he shouldn't be in AAA. He should be allowed to work it out up here. And if he makes it or breaks it, it's up here. It's not down in AAA because he's not proven anything in AAA. He already hits AAA. He
yeah,
got a home run today, like we talked about earlier in the podcast,
yeah.
in this video. And so, when is the time that you start selling the pieces off? Marlins did it early, and their young guys are showing some heart.
Yeah, when their stock is high, right? This is when we want to sell these guys because we don't want to wait for them to drop off and plateau somewhere. We want to sell them while they're hot. These guys like JD Martinez, these guys like Pete Alonso, even Pete Alonso has been had a good series for himself. Starling Marte is also doing well, and so these guys are building up their stock. Even Harrison Bader, these are all guys that we want to see gone sooner rather than later, so that we can have guys like Brett Beatty come back up, guys like Luis Angel be able to crack that roster, and Jeff McNeil be that utility guy, and other guys around the league, around the minor leagues, be able to get an opportunity to play, because that's what we have to look forward to as Mets fans right now. We don't want to look for this team that's going to scratch and try to be a 500 team. Because at the end of the day, we talked about it before the season even started. We want this team to win a World Series. We don't want to see them just crack playoffs. We don't want to see them fight for a wild card spot. We want to see them win a World Series. And if they're not doing that, then what are we doing? We got to sell our pieces so that we can have something to watch, something to look forward to in the future to fight for.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's where I'm at right now. We're gonna unless they go on a 20 win run, win 20 games in a row. This is going to be the drum that I keep beating because we're in June, and it's the team has shown what it is, and we're a 500 team, and there's no way around it, and we unless we go 20 in a row. Unless we're in the middle of June and we go 20 in a row and we're back, hitting up on all cylinders, you're not going to see me change my mind at this point. And so, start selling early. We got a JD replacement in Vientos. Vientos has proven that he can, hit. He might not be JD Martinez, but he can, he'll be fine.
Or even DJ Stewart. DJ Stewart can take that spot right now because he's got some time on him. I think he's got still some control on him, and so he can play that role for the time being. Tyrone Taylor, these guys, we have guys in the organization that can fill these spots. But another something that we don't have in the organization that can fill these spots is relief help, and this is something that is another one of my concerns is how David Stearns addresses this relief help. And I don't know if this happens this season, most likely not, but it seems like all of our arms are being taxed. It seems like it's time to bring up the young guys too, trading off those pieces in our starting pitchers like Luis Severino and Sean Manaea, and even a Jose Quintana for whatever we can get for him, and having these other guys like not Blade Tidwell because he's not ready yet, but like a Jose Budo, a Joey Lucchesi, Christian Scott, all these guys up pitching and providing a little bit of length. We'll see what they can get, but it's got to be better than what Jose Quintana and Sean Manaea have given us for their last 3 starts, right? And so, but that I think that all goes hand in hand. Getting help for with our pitching, starting pitching, because our bullpen has been taxed, and I think, like you said, this isn't a trend. We're not going to see a great bullpen. We're not going to see a horrible bullpen. But if we can see something in the middle, something consistent, that only comes when they're in a spot where they haven't pitched their arms off, and when they pitching with more than a 1-run lead or pitching in high leverage situations. So this is going to be something that I'd like to see David Stearns address. I don't know when.
Yeah, no, the pitching staff as a whole, I could agree with you selling off Severino, Manaea, and all those guys. I could see that being a part of the mix. I'm not worried about the bullpen though. That's where I'll disagree with you. I think the fact that Gary keeps saying that like 32 games were in run games means that our bullpen is keeping us in the game, even though they're being taxed. And the only way to relieve a bullpen being taxed is for your starters to go deeper, and that's really the only way for that to happen. And until that starts happening, we're just gonna have a taxed bullpen. There's nothing we can do about that until they start going deeper into games. And hopefully, they started. You had a week or two of them going a little bit deeper, and hopefully they get back to it. Or like you said, when is the time that we start selling pitching? I think that's later. I think it's easier to sell some hitters early, but I think the pitching as soon as a couple weeks from now we can start seeing some pitching go. But yeah, but let's get to the who's right part of the podcast. You picked Beatty.
Yeah, shout out to Alec in the chat. He just commented that they sent him down, and and so that's so unfortunate for me that they sent Beatty down because there was no way of me winning with him getting to AAA unless we want to count his home run.
Yeah, luckily, my guy didn't do any much better. Nimmo had a good game today, but he didn't quite break out yet out of his slump. And we had Martinez be the breakout of the series. And as far as the pitching, you had Severino, I had Scott. We're going to give it to one of the bullpen pieces in Danny Young. You know, he pitched 3 out of the 4 games and didn't give up a run. And so Danny Young is the guy that is our pitching star for this series. And as far as our Mets killer, well, we gotta give it to the guy who won the game today. You know, he had an overall good series. But he probably put the nail in the coffin today. Just like Alex says, R.I.P. And to our season, and we're gonna give it to Cattell Marte as the Mets killer. And so you get this series with 1 point with the Cattell Marte pick.
Yeah, and man, is he good? Might be the best second baseman in the National League, and it really looks like it. We got to see that firsthand, hitting 2 home runs today, driving in 2 runs in the first game, and tacking on some more in game 3. It's just unfortunate that it came against the Mets because he was slumping before that. But it always seems that they are able to turn all these teams. If they don't have good pitching, they're able to turn around against the Mets. If they don't have good hitting, they're able to turn it around against the Mets, and that's what happened in this series. Their bats woke up, and their pitching wasn't exactly there, but obviously their bats were sleeping. They woke up, but I will, on a more positive note, Danny Young looked great. He got his second win of the season. He's going to be a great reliever arm that we have in that bullpen. Let's hope, like you said, they're not pitching in high leverage spots and they can have a little less stress on them when they pitch because that definitely plays a factor. But also, Daniel Nunez also had a great series or a couple of games, and he struck out the side yesterday and today. He looked terrific, and so these are both young guys that can throw hard, throw it by you, but also change it up and throw it over you. And Daniel Nunez and Danny Young, those young guys really led the way and looked good.
Yeah, no, for sure. So let's get into and that's why I tell you that I'm not worried about the bullpen. It's because you know a lot of the pieces that come up and down this year have done their job. I'm not worried about the bullpen, but we do need those starters to get deeper into games. Now let's preview the next series. So on Monday. Um, Tomorrow we got McGill versus Gore, Mackenzie Gore. Alex, a big Nationals fan, so shout out to Alex. And he's gonna be rooting against us a little bit, but it's okay. At this point we're probably rooting. No, we're not, but it sure feels like it. On Tuesday we got Peterson and our old buddy Williams pitching. And on Wednesday, before we head to London, we got Severino and Corbin. They're above us in the standings. They're doing better than people expected this year, and they're definitely right now doing better than we are this year.
Yeah, and they're coming off a win against the Guardians, and a fairly good win because the Guardians obviously beat us up. So they're going to be looking to continue to stomp on the Mets. And from my standpoint, it seems like they can really put it on us because they have great starting pitching coming up in this series. The only one that we might be able to get to is that Trevor Williams, but he's had a good season so far, and it really is the battle of the long relievers in that Tuesday game. But Trevor Williams is going to be good to see him back. It's going to stink to see him pitching against the Mets. But those other two starting pitchers, they can have some stuff. So I wouldn't sleep on Patrick Corbin for not having a great season so far, because he can also pick it up against the Mets. But
Well,
obviously he's going to have a
well,
tough challenge.
the only reason he's going to pick it up against the Mets is because he's playing the Mets. It's not because we believe in Corbin. It's because he's playing the Mets, and even Alec will probably tell you he doesn't trust Corbin too much.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they can do it all around. They can really put a hurting on us if we let them, and that would be. This is going to really stink if we go into London down on bad vibes, because we're already down on bad vibes this time. We usually get to win the last game. This time we didn't get to do that, and so let's just hope we can pick it up. And Tyler McGill can pitch us another gem tomorrow.
Yeah, that absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. I think that I know you picked the game of the week being Tuesday with Peterson and Williams. I think McGill has a chance to build on his last start, and hopefully he does. So I think I went first last time. So who's your Mets standout of the series?
My best standout of the series is going to be someone that has been hitting really well. He's gotten the starting job at third base, um, and he's really flown with it. And so let's go with Marky V this time. I not gonna lie, I was kind of upset, not at Marky V, for fighting his way to this job, but seeing him in the post press conferences, seeing how humble he's been to get up to this spot, and seeing him take the opportunity and run with it has been encouraging. And so let's hope that he continues to hit well and continues to solidify his position in this Mets organization.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think so as well. That he's probably gonna have a good series. Especially facing two lefties this series. He's gonna have a field day. And Alec jumped the gun for me. I'm going with the hot bat and going with Alec and JD Martinez. You know, that's the guy that I'm picking this series. He's finally woken up from his slumber, and I think he's going to continue to be the guy that we're going to trade in a couple weeks.
Yeah, let's let's see if he makes good trade bait and continues to build on his resume. I hope so.
Absolutely. So, and as far as pitching, for me, I think he's going to build off his last start, and I'm gonna go with Tyler McGill. McGill is the guy that I think is going to continue to build on this, and hopefully go deep like he did last game.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Tyler McGill has looked good. Let's hope that he continues to build and gives us a glimpse of the future of the Mets rotation. Because right now we have two guys that can be headliners in that Mets rotation with Tyler McGill and David Peterson, both pitching back to back. And so we might see that next year with Christian Scott in the mix, and whoever else can fight their way back up. But so I will go with David Peterson and say that this is a good future glimpse of the Mets organization and Mets rotation, and that he pitches well, and that we can have back to back starts of guys going. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna jinx this. Going deep.
Let's go deep. Come on. No, awesome. You'd hope to see it. You hope that Peterson can it was the first start off the IL last start, and hope he continue to build off of that and continue to grow and again maybe go deeper, attack the zone. Because this is a guy that when he attacks the zone, that's when he's the most effective. And so let's get to the Mets killer. Who you got?
Yeah, there's only really one guy I want to pick in this series, and that's the young guy, right? C.J. Abrams is exciting. He's an exciting player to watch, and I like seeing him play the game with being able to hit the ball well, being able to run the bags well, and his defense as well has been terrific. And so I can see him having a great series against the Mets.
I knew you were going to do that. So it's one of those that I wish I was going first because that's the guy I wanted to pick, but I knew you were going to pick him because he's really their best hitter. But there's always a guy, even though we're playing a division rival. There's a guy that came from another division rival that is always wanting to stick it to us, and that's Rosario, Easy Eddie. And I think Easy Eddie is going to be the guy that kind of um, be a little thorn on the side of the Mets. Could have been Winker. Winker's another guy that loves playing against the Mets, and he's having a decent season this year. But I'm gonna go with Easy Eddie Rosario, as the guy that is going to be the thorn. Nothing too big, but win me some points this week. I got to get back on the winning side.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick. I thought you were gonna go with Jesse Winker there. That guy's a rat, and I could see him playing a part in the um, Mets losses this time around because man, he's annoying to watch play. But yeah, it'll be an exciting series. Hopefully that we can get off to the right foot with Tyler McGill pitching tomorrow.
Yeah, and so we down at the farm, we got some guys coming back. Alvarez maybe coming back as soon as right before the London series. I don't know if they're going to do that. I see. Alec like my Rosario pick, but it's all good. It's all good. Rosario is one of those guys, but back down at the farm, Alvarez is going to be playing back-to-back games today and tomorrow, I believe. I think it is, and we'll see how he does. And then he might be back for the London series. I don't know, if you want to bring them back for the London series or just let them play out some games and bring them back on Monday when they come back from London or Tuesday, whenever it is they come back, and um, you know, uh, and see. But you have Beatty, go down there and produce. Like we said before, Beatty shouldn't be down there. He should be up here. Getting things done, working it out, and figuring it out up here. And so, you know, that's all I'm gonna talk about the farm. We had a couple young guys do some things, but we're at 55 minutes. What do you think about the Alvarez coming back?
Yeah, I hope that I, as much as I'd love to see him play in London, I think that'll be exciting, and I wouldn't be surprised if the MLB forces that hand for him to come back in that series, because they want the most eyeballs that they can on those games, and it won't be a fun series if the Mets are just getting blown out. That's probably not going to be good for business, and so I imagine that he comes back in that series. But I honestly would rather him stay grounded in the U.S., get some more extra reps, get healthy, because he has been coming back, or this will be fairly quickly that he's coming back, right? When did he get hurt? And I want to say it was 4 weeks ago.
No, it was in April. It was early April.
Okay.
First Dodgers series. So middle of April. So him coming back either this week or next week is about 2 months out. And so
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
you know,
That's the timeline, man. Yeah. So that makes sense. But give this guy a little bit of extra time. Give him some more time to feel comfortable. I don't want him back in a high leverage spot in London where we're playing our division rivals. I'd rather him come back in a spot where he can come and relax and play a game against it's not going to be relaxing, but playing against the Marlins, a less um, splashy team, team that will be more competitive against, and and uh, and really, be back to the Alvarez that we can see him to be. And so, but I do think that he's going to come back in the Sledden series, but I'd rather not see him until Monday or Tuesday of the next week.
Yeah. I'm kind of feeling the same way, but who knows, man? We might see him, and if we see him, let's go. Let's ride, and and so um, let's go beat the Nationals. Come on. So before we get out of here, subscribe to the channel, like this video. Let us know how you're feeling. Is it time to sell? Is it? What are we waiting for? What do you guys think? On replay, if you're watching on replay, let us know what you're thinking as well. But before we get out of here, Victor, any last words?
I think us Mets fans are kind of just dead inside, just absolutely crushed with everything that's transpired over the last month, over the last couple of months, with the Knicks being out of the playoffs, but also the Rangers getting crushed yesterday. And we got an NHL fan in the chat being a heckler here, and I'm not going to acknowledge that. But well, the Rangers had a good fight, but they didn't get it done. So it's not a winning season to me. Let's hope that they come back next year and win it all. We want winning to be. We want New York to be a winning uh, city, known for winning. And so let's start. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. I'm done. Let's go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Rangers put up a good fight. They didn't end like they wanted to, but it's all good. It was an awesome season, and hopefully we get it going again next year and finish it next year. But guys, until the next video, let's go Mets.
Let's go, Mets.